Welcome to the Conscious Leader Birth Your Legacy work from your divine genius with Toth and the Council of Light as divinely transmitted by me, Danielle Rama Hoffman, and Anaiya Sophia. And just sending great love and appreciation, Anaiya, for you being here. I know we've had paths that have crossed many times in this lifetime, and I'm sure another lifetime. So thank you so much for being here. I'm excited to co-create with you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation to come into your space and to see if I can bring through anything of value at this time. Thank you, Danielle.
You're welcome. And thank you everyone for your choice to be here to join this Conscious Leader Council. For this really is a council, and we are co-creating and communicating as well in the higher planes. So as I bring in Toth and the team, just inviting you each to take a few moments to breathe, to really call in your energy, and to hold in consciousness with us that this co-creation, this now moment is calibrated as well to that which will be the highest level contribution, that we each enter into this now moment with that wholehearted willingness to be present, to show up, and to be calling in exactly in a bespoke way what it is that you require. This is Toth with the Rose Panel Beings of Light, including Anna, the Magdalens, Yeshua, Isis, Osiris, Sekhmet, Ptah, Nefertum, and many other beings of light moving more into the forefront of this divine transmission. We would begin with the energy of love. For as we begin with the energy of love, then all that comes from there is calibrated to that love. And that love is not only the emotion of love, yet also the frequency and the vibration of love in and of itself is an inclusive energy. So as you each are joining and taking your seat on the energy classroom of this Conscious Leaders Council, we invite you to, if you choose, to ask for that wholehearted willingness to be the highest contribution that you be in this now moment, and that also includes the slowest vibration all the way up to the highest vibration, that you are including and welcoming all of you in this now moment, not in a way that you are taken for a ride from the slower vibrations per se, yet in a way that there's a recognition that in order to move forward, all of your energy is required, that which is the slowest all the way up to the highest. So as you may be aware of, there are many trinities that have stepped forward on this Rose panel, and we want to speak about that for a moment. And as Danielle was just in Egypt in February, there's a lot of the energies as well of the Trinity, that there are the gods and goddesses that come together as different vibrations and different signature energies. You can think of that as the divine feminine, the divine masculine, the divine child. You can think of that as the energy of Sekhmet, the lioness goddess, in that fierce acceptance and healing through destruction, and Ptah, who is speaking the world into being on the plinth of Ma'at, with the head in the stars and the feet on the ground, and the heart of the magic of the moment, and them coming together to create Nefertum, the divine child, the lotus, the play energy. It's like being an artist and bringing together the blue and the red and the purple. And part of what we would love to speak about, and there is also this very strong energy of Ma'at on the Earth star at this time, coming forward in that right relationships and things coming back into the next evolution of divine order and right relationship. And part of what we would love to speak and co-create with you, Anaiya, in particular, has to do with what we're speaking about, because there is this evolution in the masculine energy, in the feminine energy, because a new blend is required, and the full breadth as well, that it may be a very solar feminine energy like Sekhmet, or a very lunar masculine energy like Mitov, and that each individual has their unique sacred union of this sacred trinity that's coming into divine order. So we know that our masterclass topic has to do with the priestess and the importance of the role of the priestess during this time. Yet if you're open to it, we'd love to segue into it from this Trinity energy and your perspective about the evolution of the feminine, the masculine, and the sacred union between the two. So welcome again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel where I would like to begin is to say that on this call, both live and in replay, there are men and women, I'm going to mostly say women, who are quietly nursing a very deep knowing that they are to rise at some moment in this incarnation as priestess. And we are in the most perfect position right now in this lockdown and quarantine for those people to do whatever is necessary to prepare in whichever way they must to bring that impulse to the forefront of their being and to step fully forward once our restrictions are lifted. And I have a feeling that the priestess of this time to come will have one foot in the dark and one foot in the light. And the dark that I'm referring to is the mystery. It is the unknown, the abyss, the Gnostic space, the pre-verbal, cannot be spoken. And the priestess will have a loving glance for both of those territories, whether she looks to the dark, which is the mystery, to the unformed, and she looks to the light, which is the outward acting expression of it all. The appearance in her eyes remains the same. And so when she is speaking and simply offering her presence to those who may still be in fear and wonderment about, what is this new world that we've just stepped out into, she will be able to hold that space for the whole spectral field of that human, so that in her presence, they can actually recalibrate and become that awakened being just by being in her presence. She doesn't have to teach or do anything. That is what I feel the priestess of the world to come will be, until she simply doesn't have to be there anymore, because I believe this new vision, this new earth, priest and priestess will just gracefully diminish, and there simply won't be a need anymore, because by the time that happens, every single human being will be sovereignly seated in that themselves.
Yes, and there's a lot in what you just shared, and we go a little bit deeper into one foot in the light and one foot in the dark. And also that sacred union, that presence, and the larger vision, or the wider scope of this time. And it's our theme here as well, in the wider multidimensional classroom of this masterclass series, is conscious leadership. And that conscious leadership, leading from vibration and energy, is based on equanimity and equality, that everyone has a unique contribution, and yet it's equal and coming together, it's enriching. And so the time of, it's interesting, the time of the hierarchical priestess, so to speak, is over, yet the role is there for there to be that reclaiming of the sovereignty that you're speaking about. So would you a little bit more deeply into this sacred union of the vastness, the void, the abyss, the mystery, the dark, and the light, and how that alchemy comes together to create something even more?
I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go, because this morning, thanks to my webmaster, David from Australia, he was able to wrap words around a vision that I was giving to him to create some graphics. My main path is the path of Sophia, the path of wisdom. And I'm treading this path through a Gnostic way, a Gnostic Christed way. That is my personal practices and my sacred arts. And I need a vision of Sophia for the website that reflects how I know her to be on the inside. And she's not a goddess. She doesn't have a human face. And so I've been struggling with, how do I portray and personify this so people really understand that Sophia is the wisdom being spoken through Mary Magdalene, as action, as presence. And as, you know, as that gateway, through Magdalene, you can reach Sophia, which is wisdom. It's not a woman. And so he came up with this worded understanding, which matches perfectly my experience on the inside. Sophia is like an opening, a dark opening to a cave. The presence of that cave is thunderous, silent. You stand at the threshold and you're already afraid and excited to go in. So even just standing there, you know, your hairs are already leaving your skin, your heart is pounding, your mouth is dry, you are already recalibrating, but you are being invited in beyond the darkness where you know you're not going to exist anymore. But all around this jet black entranceway is the most beautiful, gracious imagery and feeling. And that, to me, is Sophia. Because this dark entrance is framed by grace and mercy and love and truth and peace, you know that you can reach that leap of faith and step into that dark, empty, unknown, mystical space. So that to me is right here, right now, understanding of sacred union that I have in this here now moment, because the third aspect is what becomes of you once you step in. So we got the dark, we got the light that is framing the dark, and we've got this mystical third element that you yourself are going to become once you step into that unified field. Ha!
Beautiful. And there is an aspect of this journey that you alluded to, that is a disintegration of the previous identity. There is a death or a completion, an inclusion of the old way of being. And like the Last Supper, and that kind of an energy as well, we invite you, if you're called, to throw a party for that old identity or that old paradigm or the way that you've known yourself to be, because it has had purpose and it has got you to who it is that you have become. And really love every moment of that separation in a way, not that you are beckoning it to remain, yet in the way of honoring it and celebrating it and throwing a feast, and then having it be that kind of a Last Supper energy. So one of the embodiments, the stances that you hold so powerfully and so potently, really is this unapologetic energy, and really being willing to share the full spectrum of that wisdom in a way that is sovereign, in a way that goes beyond the fears of what others will think, and some of the approval seeking and fear of inquisition and being killed and being the Cathar that's in the cave, and all of those things that are also, from our perspective at times, misinterpreted, for they are rites of passages. We know we're speaking about a lot there. Yet when you spoke about that sense of the pounding heart and knowing that you're going to disappear, for as we have been with each of you, as you're bringing forward your divine genius, your legacy work, and that may be in the form of a book or a business or a deeper calling, there can be that sense of, if I unify with the divine, if I am stepping into the priestess, then I will disappear. I'll cease to exist. And then I won't be able to do what I'm here to do on the 3D planes, or there's those kinds of things. So what, Sophia, what wisdom would you bring forward about really that, the facing of that, the integration of that, those fears, those memories that may have a sense of putting the brake on, even though what one wants to do is put on the gas?
I would say before this lockdown, I would have gone forward in trust, and I would have spoken to others about that trust, to reach for that trust. And that is the key. That is the first footfall goes down in trust. Now, in lockdown, I would say we are all being backed into a corner, and that there are now even greater reasons to go into that dark black cave. I have a feeling that this era, this year 2020, there's going to be another level of expose, of revelation, another pulling back of the curtains to see a little bit more clearer where important facets of life have been playing out. that doesn't make sense. What I mean is, I cannot help but feel that our governments and world leaders, the curtain is going to be pulled back. This is the next expose. This is what we're going to be seeing now, which I believe is going to cause a lot of fear and a lot of terror and perhaps disbelief. But for those of us carrying the priestess energy, this will probably be the last shunt. If there is any denial, if there is any holding back, we will be shunted forward, because now is the time. We have literally seen every aspect of life as it truly is now. We've been saying all along, 2020, this is the year of perfect vision. Yeah. Which means it's not the appearance of grace and beauty, 2020 vision, but the actual appearance of truth as things really are in the world of humans, in the 3D world. So if it's not trust, then it will be because it is simply time.
Yes, and in the sacred pause of the silence, there is the honoring of the heartbeat, and that there is the striking of the beat or the drum, and there is the pause in between the heartbeat, and that both are a part of the wholeness. And this sacred pause as well, on a global level, on the Earth Star, is also honoring that time within, honoring that reprioritization. And it is a return to the inner sanctuary, to the wellspring. So you spoke about your connection, your priestesshood. We know that your path has been long. You've been up to this for a while, and many different alchemizations of it, like Danielle as well. And there is this connection to Sophia. Both you and Danielle are living in France, so this energy of the Magdalens as well. And as you speak about the priestess and the importance of the priestess, and more individuals being called to step into their priestess selves, what would you say the role of, as well, the divine lineage, so to speak, that there are the times of being the priests and the priestesses of Isis or of Sophia, or those that are priestesses of love or priestesses of peace, or that there is that unique energy of path, like for you it is that Christed consciousness, and for each individual that priestessing is very unique simultaneously, and at the same time universal, meaning that there are these larger divine qualities that each individual are holding as priestess, like wisdom. So are there other examples, or your feeling about individuals that will gather from forgotten priestessing that are being remembered in this new way? Would you spiral into that nugget there?
For me, a priestess is a bridge. Whether you speak to her like this through Zoom, or in direct presence, or whether she's teaching a dance class or a yoga class, her very presence, her countenance, not her face, countenance, what's behind the face, her flesh, which is not the body, what's behind the flesh, what's behind the body, her words, and exactly as you've said, the actual spoken word, the tonality, the breath, the pause, the high pitch, the low pitch, everything is a moving bridge that you just kind of jump on and just flow towards. And that priestess will be taking you, not that she's planning on, it just is, to your sense of sacred origins. Yours, not hers, yours. She may be a priestess of Sophia, and you may be coming from a Hindu tradition, and you will be taken to the sacred origins nestled within the Hindu tradition. So she is going to take you back to your start point. Not in a way that gets discussed, but a way that is felt, rested in, bestowed upon, blessed, all of that good stuff.
Yes, this is a beautiful nuance distinction that we would discuss. The open architecture of this, the new paradigm way of being, for there have been many lifetimes where to be priestess was very specific and with different choices to leave family or to renounce worldly goods or whatever those past life choices may have been. And one was priestess of a certain energy. And then those other priestesses are then continuing that initiatory path. And that Danielle is keeper of the ascended mastery lineage of me, Thoth, that there is also that very open architecture to what it is that we are up to with individuals, which is exactly what you spoke about. It is to reconnect to the individual's sacred source and origin that is unique to them, not to say this is the way and you need to follow it. And that so much of that happens through environment. You're speaking about presence, you're speaking about an environment, a vibrational environment that then invites others to be more of who it is that they are. And that is to be underscored from our perspective, to be highlighted, to be a nuance that is brought to the forefront, for that really honors each individual for their individualized oneness and the core of that connection, not the identity, yet the core of the connection of the unique individuality with that oneness.
I have this very strong feeling because I, as a being, I'm very body orientated. I think I have the gift of somatic hands. I love the somatic touch, very slow, very deep, very dark, very careful. It's like your hands become that of a doula. I cannot help feeling strongly that after this time of isolation and quarantine, that us humans, it's like we're emerging back into the light again, and we haven't been touched much. So I do believe that our skin and our 3D form is going to be extremely sensitive. And I just want to say, in case of whoever's listening on this call, that those of us who know that working with the body is your genius, is your gift, is your talent, is your blessing. I want to affirm that. I really, really feel that all of us humans, we're going to be like newborns. We've had this long period of being by ourselves in our cave, in our home, probably very centered in our head if we're, anxious and afraid. And if we have some good practices, we're going to be centered in our heart and steady in our seat. I believe another dear gift of the priestess will be this holding, this touching, this holding, using her hands to give that reassuring blessing and to almost perhaps retrace the form of the person she's with, to show them that they exist, that they are here now in the body, and just blessing that body because it has become a newborn. Really speaking, from the words as they get formed. I haven't thought any of this through before, but you're definitely drawing this out of me.
Yes, and as we are also speaking about this conscious leadership, this importance of being the priestess and birthing one's legacy work from divine genius, that legacy work is also into form. It is the midwifing into form, and to take the energy of thoughts or inspiration or consciousness into a book or into whatever it is for someone. The physicalization of that is creation in and of itself. So part of what you're bringing forward from our perspective, of among many things, is a wink and a nod to divine genius being also about physicalization, that each individual is here to have their hands in the clay, to physicalize the heart space, and to also have that friction, that there is the orgasmic light, there is the creation that comes from friction, that comes from having the hands in the clay, having that touch that then embodies. And so whether it is Anna, who is creating light conception or love conception, or it is the creator being, the priestess, that creates a meal or a loving touch. What you're also speaking about is that breath of life into the form, like Heka, the frog goddess, that breathes life into the womb. And that sense of the womb it's here, it's in the physicalization of creation through word, through touch, and all of that. And the pleasure of it, that pleasure of being here, not just to get things done or make an impact, yet the enjoyment of each and every aspect of that creation, going into the well and then going out from the well. So is there, and we would love to move into a process or an experience or a meditation here in the next few moments that we could co-create together if you're open. Yet we still sense there's a little bit more of that that stance, or that fire, that power, that potency, the unapologeticness that's also required, because it is very vulnerable to have, and it is one leg in vulnerability, let's say, or transparency, and another in power and potency. Yet it is vulnerable to take that newborn skin or to share that newborn project for it to be seen by others. It is a yielding to receive touch in some ways, and that there is a steadfastness or an importance of the role of the priestess that also has to do with that unbridledness, that unapologeticness, that you have such a beautiful combination of grace and power. So we have a sense that there's a little bit more that would be a contribution for those tuning in that you carry around that specifically.
Well, what's fresh for me today is the essence of Athena. The direction I'm taking toward her is the direction of the Amazon women from Themyscira in ancient Greece. The true Athena was an Amazon. She is a demigod, but she is not from Mount Olympus. She comes from Themyscira, which was a matriarchal, beautiful paradise island, possibly in the Aegean Sea, not the Ionian Islands, the Aegean ones, Corfu, Kefalonia, Zakynthos, that sort of area. And how I'm feeling her at the moment is this bareback riding, warrior, matriarchal chieftainess. And yes, she's fierce, and yes, she's courageous and strong and nimble and agile and fast and completely athletic. But all of this power, I believe, is granted to her because she is of the earth, because she has created this utter, exquisite, balanced, harmonious paradise of humankind living alongside and within earth. And so earth, the natural forces, the elements are blessing her and bestowing her body with all of this prowess and unapologeticness and riding and fast and agility. That, if you imagine I have some of that, it is because it is coming from these trees and fields and mountains I can see outside my bedroom window. So it's not coming because I'm working hard in my physical body and just drawing that power from my own means. It's because my heart is intrinsically, lovingly woven with the trees and the daffodils and the tulips that are coming up now, and the brown earth and the sludgy, slimy worms that creep within it. And believe me, I was on all fours earlier trying to get through the center of a thicket bush a few hours ago. And that just reminded me once again just how close I am to this natural world. So let me just bring that into the mix as well. We're going into a very Athena-like time, especially if we look at the astrology for this year. We all need to find that peace, that fierce feminine, that unapologetic brazenness, or that protectress, the protector of the innocents and the undefended. The ability to stand up and say, no, I don't agree with that. No, I am not having that vaccination. I'm seeing a lot of people are afraid of the conspiracy theories and that they're all going to be made to have a vaccination. Hey, we don't have to have a vaccination. This arm belongs to us. It doesn't have to have a needle put inside of it. This is definitely something I want us all to feel and remember and sit in the center of. Of course, I don't have to fear mandatory vaccination. I just don't have one. And feel that Athena on horseback, fingers matted in the mane of the horse as she's riding. Is she going to take a vaccination? Of course not. Let Athena dwell within you when those times come that may threaten to overpower you. So maybe that was what you were looking for.
And there is so much of the simultaneity of gifting and receiving and having that happens so naturally in nature. And being in communion with that nature, whether it's bringing a plant inside or being in the country, that it also creates that natural flow of receiving and gifting and having, that you can go into nature in the depths of your tears or in fear, and nature accepts you fully. There's no veil, there's no overlays. There is that unconditional acceptance. So that same flow that may be experienced in nature also has a key element to what is being spoken about here. So as you both, Danielle and Anaiya, are here in southern France, we would place on the altar the possibility to co-create a guided transmission to a sacred site that you both have been to also add a little bit of this energy of communing and reconnecting to that source energy. So is there a place that comes to you that
well, yeah, Saint Baume is absolutely flashing on the inside. Have you been there?
Yes, many times, and it is 90 minutes from where Danielle lives as well, and she has brought groups as you have as well. And so, yes, La Sainte Baume, Saint Maximin La Sainte Baume, and the beautiful cave and the Magdalene Chapel as well, with the beautiful reliefs of Mary Magdalene in her daily life. And depending on when the last time you were there, also this Venus Chapel. So sometimes we think about it as there's the base of the mountain once someone drives up, where there is the Magdalene Chapel with all the beautiful reliefs. There's going into the cave, the heart of the mountain, so to speak. And then there's on top as well, where there is this chapel that has this beautiful statue that's very Venus and wild and unbridled, not many of the depictions of the Magdalene, in a very stunning way. So yes, is there any introduction that you would add for those that don't know Saint Baume, and then we would move into it?
Well, I always see Saint Baume as a 3-part initiation. The walk through the forest is one part, especially when you take the royal path through the craggy rocks and the moss-colored boulders and the ancient trees. There's the entrance into the cave, which is where you step into that unknown. And then at the top is the chapel, which is where you say yes, really fully and truly, to the ascension process. So perhaps what I could do is I could use my fairiness to take you very realistically through that forest. And then Toth could be waiting for us either in the cave or at the chapel up above to bring in a very, very fine, very high transmission. How does that sound?
Yes, yes, beautiful.
Shall I take us to the cave or further still to the chapel?
Yes, to the chapel, and let's meet at the cave, and then the primary transmission will be from the chapel, from us.
Okay.
A sense of a cross pollination at the cave in this beautiful ascension descension spiral. Yes.
So, dearest friends, just come into a very comfortable, receptive, open, trusting position where you imagine that we all stand together at the beginning of this dirt track. There's 3 ways of getting up to the cave. We're going to take one path, which is the most ancient, and it's called the royal path, the path of kings, the path of popes. And it's quite rugged, it's quite steep. So as we stand on this path, we're going to take our first step and turn off to the right, where we start to walk together. A natural path made by humans, not concrete, not steps, trodden, dusty, craggy. We're walking under a canopy of trees, shielding us from the southern France sun. We're noticing huge boulders left and right, covered in moist emerald moss. Huge trees loom beside us, very ancient trunks. They've been here a long time. They've seen a lot of things. Occasionally, most of them really, have essences inside of them, just like ancient Egyptian statues. You know that these are not regular old trees. These are guardians. These are sentinels. These are watching and hearing everything you're saying and not saying. The path is steep. You have to work hard to climb this mountain. There are plenty of places to stop, rounded seats from buttocks that have sat there over the centuries. Kings, queens, popes and ladies on foot and on horseback have come this way, maybe making a little mark here and there on the boulders and the trees, on the land. This path seems to take forever, and it's meant to take forever, because it's meant to raise every single doubt that you may have inside of you that says, I can't do this. It's too hot. I'm too thirsty. I'm too tired. It's testing you. It's testing your commitment. It's testing your endurance. You are, after all, making your way to the cave of the Magdalene. There are times when you are absolutely convinced there's someone behind you, and in truth there is, but you cannot see them. The forest is both benevolent and frightening. But the frightening is just to turn you back should you not be ready, should you not be worthy, and that worthiness is being judged by you. But you are determined. You have a little spikenard anointed under your nose, the oil Mary used to anoint Yeshua during the Last Supper. So you are going to get there. It might just take a little bit of time. Eventually, that craggy path turns into pavement. You have reached the top and you are stepping upon the foundations now of her monastery up above, where you are seeing signs to remain silent. Your heart is beating, not because of the exertion, but because of the initiation that is waiting for you in there. You take the staircase. Shallow steps, thank goodness. Hundreds of them, though. Off you go to the left, where you make a switchback and turn to your right. Worn steps, hollowed out steps, rounded steps, so many feet, so many prayers, so many words as people climb. And then finally, the last switchback. You are getting so very close now to her grot, her cave. The last step is taken, and you're on a plateau where an incredible statue of Mother Mary holding her broken son's body rests in her lap. Pain and agony as she cries out is on her face, whereas he is completely at peace. As you turn to face the statue, a great black, yawning, cold presence of the open doorway to the cave breezes along your back. Smells of frankincense, myrrh, spikenard, and all the numerous candles that have been placed inside. Familiar smells, enticing smells, nerve-wracking smells. And so as you turn from the statue, you make your way into that black opening, just as I described Sophia earlier. All around you is the most exquisite beauty, grace, mercy, peace, and healing, so much healing. But there is only one place to go, and that is through that black, gaping mouth of the cave. And so you step into that coolness, that very obvious change of temperature. You are in the cave, and you are noticing her marble white statues, about 5 of them, maybe 6, maybe 7, candles burning at the foot of her apparitions. And you walk on in. deeper and deeper and deeper. And then over to you, Toth.
As you are in the depths of this cave, you have entered into your own heart, the inner sanctuary of your heart. And within your heart, within this cave, you are met by the Magdalens, past, present, and future. You are met by the rose panel, beings of light. You have an awareness of the love lineages, of your love priestessing, of the choice, if you choose, to be your unique, bespoke ambassador of love. And having an awareness of that cave, that opening, also being an invitation to crack open your heart, the front, the back, the sides, to include back into wholeness any heartbreak, any fear of disappearing if you, as a creator, yield to your inner desire to be inclusive of your energy, to be that open heart, to be in that energy of inclusion, of love. And so you may be called, just as all those that have been on a pilgrimage before you and all those that are to come, to light a candle, as your choice, if you choose, to represent the lighting of your heart, your love, to relight the pilot light of being that you, that priestess of love. And while you are here, we invite you to bring your awareness also to the chapel above, to the energy of Venus at the chapel above, and to decide if you would continue this journey to go up, or if for now you sense your time is to be within the heart space, to be within the Magdalens. We sense that some of you will stay here, and others of you are ready to go up. And those that are choosing to go up, we would invite you to be led by our guide.
There is a story that says Mary Magdalene towards the ending of her earthly life would get taken up by the angels 7 times a day. 7 times a day they would, this is the story, take her and lift her up and bring her down, and lift her up and bring her down. 7 times a day this would happen. This is a metaphor for the full awakening of Mary's 7 chakras. It is said that Yeshua returned to her deeply in that cave towards the end of days. And this coming and going, this closeness and stepping away, this closeness and stepping away of Yeshua as the union was preparing for the crossing over. This was the lifting up of Mary right up into the highest chakras and then straight back down to the root again. Lifting right up into the highest chakras and dropping back down to the root again. And this process, this zigzagging, this reaching up and crescending back down, this ascension, descension, this was apparently happening where the Venus Chapel is now. So for those of you who say yes to this, for those of you who want to follow and to know this experience, let us continue on. Let us imagine that we are lying like Mary in the back of the cave. When the Spirit of Yeshua comes closer to us, as if to whisper, "My beloved, it is nearly time. Let me infuse you to prepare the way of your passing." And out the back of this cave, let us imagine that there are steps that lead right up to this little chapel, right on the edge of this great big mountain cliffside. And as we take the steps, we are actually climbing up to the highest possible frequency we can care to know in our body, extremely high. And then imagining what it's like to be on the floor of the cave again. And taking the steps right up. We're nearly at the chapel. And then we lie on the floor in the dark again. And then finally on the 3rd time, we climb and we're barely conscious because of how fine and sublime the energy is. And we are now right up and out, and we're standing on the cliff edge by this chapel, because this signifies our full body yes. We are asking and choosing for the full ascension as Mary did, in union with Christos. And our light, our crown, our corona blesses the earth.
And as you are in this chapel, on the top of this Mount Love, in these highly refined energies, have an awareness of Venus, of the cosmos, of the heart, of source above. And that your inner galaxy your inner star light, your inner union is awakened. That your full body, yes, to life, to this embodied union, to be what we speak of as the light being incarnate, it also has a wildness to it. That as you gaze upon this statue of Magdalene, of Venus, that her hair is wild, that she has that sensual, blissful energy, and that as you continue to ascend to the top of the mountain and back to the heart and up again, you bring your open-hearted light to your crown. And you bring your open-hearted light when you go all the way back down to the mountain, down to your root, where you first said yes to life in this body. And have a sense of this, these 3 points of this initiation, of this choice, being a connected flame of love, of love. And taking the time that you are called to bask in these energies, we would bring this experience, this co-creation, to a close in our verbal words, knowing that you continue to go to the wellspring. So how would you guide us back or bring this to a verbal completion?
I would see this as a Magdalene Bodhisattva choice. From the very top, that cliff edge, we look down into the world. And perhaps there is a bubbling excitement, something warm, something pleasing that says, yes, for now, I shall return. I am coming back to my brothers and sisters and sharing my fruit of wisdom and embodiment with them. And so with happiness, joy, and expectancy, cheer and celebration at seeing our loved ones and friends and family and land and pets again, we come down those back stairs, those secret stairs that lead into the deep, dark cave of the heart. And we make our way to the entrance where we can once again see Mother Mary holding her son. And instead of a gesture of pain and suffering, we can see that she's smiling. Her lips are turned up, her eyes are open as if to bless the heavens. Yeshua, laying in her arms, is still at peace when we first found him. And off we go to the right, taking those shallow marble steps, so many, possibly 100, down and down and down, and switching back and going left and going down, using the banister. We're so excited, we're so happy to return. And we come down onto the plateau where we see perhaps the tourists going off to the right through the pavement along the tourist-made route, but that's not where we're going. We see our little dirt track scoot off to the left, down into the forest, for the eyes that can see and we can see. And so we leave our path and begin going down past the craggy rocks and boulders and occasional standing stones, the sentinels, the trees, the moss, the smells of the forest, retracing our steps, so extremely grateful for the warmth of the sun coming in through the occasional gap between the trees, the canopy. Down we go, retracing our steps, noticing a few things as we pass, like ancient crosses being engraved in the rocks. Letters, dates, initials, people who have been before us, leaving their mark behind. It seems so easy to get down, and we're down in almost half the time as it took to come up, and we laugh to ourselves, realizing just how easy it was to come back to the beginning, and just how much effort it took to reach the top. And so we're through the forest. We're down on the flat land, making our way back to the monastery where the monks of Magdalene preach and live, and the little gift shop and the cafe. And we step out of the canopy of trees, and now we're in the field that really does lead all the way back to the car park, where we joyfully, arm in arm, smiling, get all excited about what we're going to have to drink in the cafe.
And with this light ignited in the crown, the heart, and the root, this yes, this full embodied yes, we invite you to bring your awareness back, rubbing your palms, wiggling your toes, and at that perfect time, opening your eyes, knowing that you can return again. Yes. So as we are moving towards a place of completion, we would place on the altar your free gift and would just take a few minutes or moments for you to speak about this priestess gift that you have to share.
Well, the gift is called a priestess blessing. It's an audio journey where we go into a very real situation where we are in our priestesshood and we tentatively and very deeply feel into when is the moment to make our approach to our high priestess, not mine, yours. and where that high priestess herself will very personally and very intimately bless your ministry, bless and acknowledge the gifts that you have been given, and to look upon you in such a way that embeds something within you, that you know that her gracious glance is with you always as you step out and step forward to serve in a way that you always knew that one day you would.
Beautiful. So we invite you to choose, if you choose, to pick up this priestess blessing. And as we're completing, are there any final words that you would share?
I think all I would share was, wow, that was absolutely amazing. Utterly amazing to co-create together. Never done anything before like that in my life. That was quite divine, quite seamless, very, very elegant. Thank you so much.
Yes. And we are extending our acknowledgement and appreciation to you and to each of you on this council of conscious leaders for your contribution to the evolution in consciousness. All is light and love, and we are